How's it going, guys? Looking at what it takes for every single NHL team to trade for Matt Duchene. Very similar to the McDavid video and Ovechkin video made in NHL 17. I basically want to find out what it would take for Sakic to finally pull the trigger and move Matt Duchene, as he does not seem to be happy in Colorado, just looking at all this stuff from preseason. Also for this, guys, obviously I have trade difficulty set to hard, makes it the most realistic. I'm going to take a look here at Colorado's players to see what Duchene's valued at. So Jost and Rantanen are actually their two highest valued players. McKinnon's slightly less. Personally, I think McKinnon's probably a bit more than both Jost and Rantanen. Then Landeskog and Duchene there tied at 4 and 5. Landeskog low elite, Duchene high top 6. I think Duchene should probably have low elite, and Landeskog high top 6. Duchene, obviously, though, 26 years old, 85 overall, making $6 million for 2 more years. So he's not going to be a UFA this summer, but he will be next summer. And obviously, Duchene is a very solid player. Role there, first line forward. 3rd overall pick in 2009. But he kind of wants out of Colorado now. So, like I was saying earlier, let's see what it takes for Joe Sakic to finally pull the trigger and trade Matt Duchene. One thing I forgot to mention, too, in every single one of these trades, I'm going to try and include a young defenseman. That seems to be the asking price from Colorado. Like, basically, the package has to work around a young defenseman. The better the defenseman is, the less add-ons there has to be. The worse the young defenseman is, obviously, the more add-ons, like first or second round picks, other roster players, things like that. If it's a really good young defenseman, you don't have to add anything. So, starting off, guys, with Anaheim Ducks. We'll just go right to defenseman, I guess. See one that would actually make sense. So, Lindholm's too much. Fowler could maybe be like a 1-for-1. But obviously, we're going to try and make like a realistic trade that the team would do. I feel like they're not going to trade away Lindholm, Fowler, Vatanen. Jacob Larson, though, is only 20 years old. Montour and Manson are both ahead of him. I think they would definitely trade Jacob Larson. And as you can see here, Colorado's also interested in their first-round pick. So, maybe they'll do Larson in a first. That actually looks to be very fair value. Colorado wants both Larson and the pick. Let's see what they say. Trade rejected. So we have to add a little bit more here to make this trade go through. Alright, guys, I'm going to try adding this Case guy. He's 21, 75. I feel like they're not going to want to trade one of the better roster players or better prospects like Nick Ritchie there. So we'll add Case. And if that's not quite enough, I feel like the second would be too much. Maybe Case in a third. So this is a lot to give up, but I mean, in real life, Sakic has been asking for the moon. Okay, now the value is way on our side. That actually might be a bit too much. Let's try without the third, and then if this doesn't get it done, we'll throw the third on. Trade rejected still. Okay, so we'll try with the third. The third looked like it would have been way too much. So Larson the first, Case in the third for Matt Duchene. Trade rejected. Are you kidding me? Gonna try a second round pick now instead of the third. So Larson a first, a second, and Case. This is way too much, but Sakic is playing hardball. And he actually does accept that, as we're going to move down Rasmussen. So next up we have the Arizona Coyotes. Right now I'm offering them Joseph and Perlini. Joseph was actually their first round pick in this year's draft. 18 years old, 59 overall, so obviously a lot of time left for him to grow. And then Perlini is like a pretty good prospect. They have a lot better prospects, obviously. Dylan Strome, Chychrun, I wish was a Red Wing, Clayton Keller, Eichmann Larson there, they definitely wouldn't trade for Duchene. Jarmelson, even, I don't think so. Stepan they just got. Kroos, I think, is probably a bit better of a prospect, too, than Perlini. Domi, Dvorak, don't see them moving either one of those guys. Same with Declare. So, Perlini's kind of like the odd man out. We'll see if Colorado says yes to this. The value is a little on our side, but last time that wasn't quite enough. We'll try this first. Yeah, trade rejected, so we'll see what we have to add here to make Sakic say yes. Alright, guys, so I just added Luke Schenn and a third-round pick in this year's draft. We'll see if this is enough. Trade accepted, so not too bad. Prospect defenseman, Perlini, Schenn in a second, or sorry, a third for Matt Duchene. I mean, makes Colorado, or sorry, can't talk right now, makes Arizona that much better. Like, they're centers now. They went from having, like, nobody to now having Duchene and Stepan, so that's pretty sick. Next up, we have the Boston Bruins. Obviously, they have Charlie McAvoy, who would be more than enough for Duchene. Not going to trade one of their core players in Bergeron, Pastrnak, Marchand, even Krejci, really. Zaboral here, though, I have 20 years old, 6'7" overall. Prospect defenseman. Both Carlo and McAvoy are better, though, and already in the NHL. He was obviously drafted with DeBrusk and then Senyshyn back-to-back in that one draft. Still can't believe, like, they drafted Senyshyn over Shabbat and Barzal, like, insane. I think Kyle Connor, too. So, as you can see, I'm offering them Zaboral, Spooner, and then also a 2018 first. This should get it done. This is actually pretty realistic, too. I think there was a package similar to this offered for Gabe Landeskog, but it didn't go through. So, we'll see if Sakic says yes to this for Matt Duchene. Trade rejected. Wow, Zaboral, Spooner in a first doesn't get it done. How about we throw Senyshyn on? He's not really that great anyway. Maybe that's enough for them to say yes. And it is. So, I mean, big package there, but Boston with Matt Duchene, I think they're going to be looking pretty good up front. Moving on to Buffalo now, guys. Obviously, they have a few top-end players. Eichel, Nylander, Ristolainen won't be part of this trade. I'm thinking McCabe here. Beaulieu has slightly more value, but they did just acquire him, so they probably wouldn't trade him. I'm also going to be adding Justin Bailey and their first-round pick. The value is a bit more on the Buffalo side. They want all 3 pieces. Let's see what they say. Trade rejected. I don't think I've gotten a single trade through so far on the first try, so let's try adding like 1 small piece. So I actually made a slight change. I switched out Bailey for Georges, who for whatever reason Colorado wants, and then added a 3rd round pick in 2019. This should be enough. And it is. And I also think that's a pretty solid trade for Buffalo, assuming, of course, that that first round pick isn't a lottery pick. And here, guys, the offer making is the Calgary Flames. So it's Valimaki, Stone in a second. Valimaki, of course, the prospect defenseman they just drafted this year. Stone's basically just there for the $3.5 million salary. I have to include some player with salary to make it so Flames stay under the cap, and they want Stone. Plus, he doesn't have that much value. And then a second in 2019. They actually don't have a pick this year until like the 4th round, which is kind of crazy. Traded a bunch of picks for Hamonic, trade other picks, I think, in like the Hamilton trade. And then in terms of Valimaki, it was either going to be him or Anderson for the young defenseman, but I think Anderson's a bit more along as he's 20 years old, and Calgary is in win now mode, so makes sense to offer up Valimaki. Values on our side, it's 3 things they want. They're probably going to say no. They've never said yes, I don't think, on the first offer, and they continue not to say yes. So we'll see if we can add like something small. I'm sure we can maybe add like a 3rd. We actually, for goalies there, Gillies and Parsons. Do we add Gillies? I mean, that might make sense. Gillies might be a bit too much. Valimaki, Stone a second, and Gillies. That's a big offer. Maybe Gillies. If we do Gillies, we'll take out the second. We'll make it a 3rd. I think that's a bit more fair. I think Sack would be crazy not to say yes to this offer. He didn't say no. Wait, wow. I can't even talk. I can't believe he said no. Okay, we'll try it now. Valimaki, Stone, Gillies in a second for Matt Duchene. And they do say yes, but geez, that was a big offer. Alright, guys, here's the offer making us Carolina, offering Colorado Jake Bean and Carolina's 1st round pick. Bean's a pretty solid prospect defenseman. For some reason, too, Colorado doesn't even want him. Obviously, though, Carolina would not be breaking up their top 4 of Hanifin, Falk, Slavin, and Pesci. And that is basically between Bean or Fleury, which one to trade. I mean, Carolina has so much good depth at D. I actually can't believe like they haven't made a trade yet with Colorado. To me, this like makes the most sense. Carolina could really use like a legitimate top, number 1 center. Stahl's good, but I think Duchene would obviously be an upgrade. Same goes for like Victor Rask. I think, if Carolina was able to make a trade for Duchene, they'd be so deadly this year. I think they might squeak in the playoffs anyway, but if they could make this trade, like say the one I'm doing right now, Jake being in a 1st, so basically all futures, keeping the team intact for Matt Duchene, they'd be so deadly this year. One thing that's weird too, Colorado's a rebuilder, and for some reason they don't want Bean. Makes no sense to me, but we'll see if they say yes. The value is definitely on our side. They'd reject Bean in a 1st. That is unbelievable. I think that's the best offer we've actually given so far in terms of value. So TVR they would not be adding. Maybe add like a couple just kind of lower value guys. Nordstrom, Ryan, for some reason they want. They're both 2 of the lower ones, so we'll do that. Like this, I don't know why they would say yes now, but we'll see what they do. Trade rejected, still okay. So maybe we actually have to add like another pick. This is crazy. Like I thought honestly Bean in a 1st was the best offer yet. Wouldn't have given them 2 picks in the same year, so maybe Bean a 1st, a 2019 2nd. That goes through, but I think that was an overpayment. And right here, guys, the offer making in Chicago for Matt Duchene. So I have Polka there, Panic, and 2 firsts. Polka actually has a lot more value in this game than real life. Like, he was just on waivers. I don't even think he got claimed. Panic's more or less just there for the salary, $2.8 million. They don't want him, but have to have him there so they stay under the cap. And then 2 first-round picks, as both of their firsts aren't really worth a lot. Like, they're probably worth half as much as the other teams that we're trading with. So we'll see if this is enough. The value's on our side for sure, but it still might not be enough. Here we go. Yeah, trade rejected. That's crazy. So we're going to try 2 first-round picks now. With Polka, Schmaltz, we have to add Panic there for the salary. I just accidentally clicked off of him. Like, this trade is actually ridiculous. Hard difficulty. Sakic is just not willing to budge. Okay, now the trade, like, for sure is going to go through. There we go, but I mean, that might have been the worst deal yet. Chicago got fleeced. Next up here with the Columbus Blue Jackets are actually one of 2 teams that are apparently very interested in Duchene. Both Columbus and the Islanders, like the 2 teams, are supposed to be the front runners. And in real life, I think the offer is something like Murray plus for Duchene. But as you can see in this game, Murray has a ton of value, actually more than Duchene. So Murray for Duchene 1-for-1 might go through. 2384 medium elite. I think in real life he's probably more like a medium top 4, just due to injuries and stuff like that. Obviously Jones or Wensky though would both be elite. So we'll see if Colorado says yes to this. It would be pretty funny because I think in real life it was something like Murray. I don't know if it was a first, but like maybe Murray a second and Anderson. Like that was somewhat the deal. I'm pretty sure is. So we'll see though in this game, is Murray enough? And he is. So I think that's a steal for Columbus. They have so much depth on D. and their forwards just got even better. Trying to make a trade now is the Dallas Stars, offering the Avs Honka, Dickinson, Ritchie, and a first in 2019. I feel like this offer is a lot more than it should be, as Honka's value is not as high as it should be. It's medium top 4 there, 2174. I'd probably give him like low elite, honestly. I'm pretty high on Honka. Dickinson, former first round pick, he's not too bad. Like a decent player. Same with Ritchie. Dickinson has a lot more value though than Ritchie, and of course the 2019 first. But the value is on our side a lot. They want 3 of the 4 things. This could go through and it'd make Dallas offense just insane. We'll see what Colorado says. Okay, they're saying yes. We have to send down a few guys, but I think it's worth it for Matt Duchene. Moving on to my favorite team now. As the Red Wings, I'm offering Colorado Hernick, DeKaiser, Sproul in a couple seconds. So Hernick's like the only defenseman that actually has any value they want. They also want Rasmussen, but obviously Detroit's not going to trade him. DeKaiser they want, so he makes sense in terms of like the salary, so Detroit stays under the cap. They also want Sproul, and they add a couple seconds, as Detroit's firsts are actually really valuable because the game knows they're going to be bad. So I don't know if this is going to be quite enough. I'm going to try it though. It'd be actually a pretty good trade as is. Trade rejected, so yeah, we're going to have to add a bit more. So here's the new offer I'm making Colorado. I switched out a bunch of people, so it's now Hernick, DeKaiser, a first in 2021. Hopefully Detroit's not as bad by then. The 2021 first actually had a lot less value than 2018, 19, or 20. And then the 2019 second, so Colorado still gets a pretty high pick because Detroit's still going to be bad at that point. So I think this will go through. Trade accepted. There we go. And after making that trade, I decided to check the trade values on the Red Wings, and Duchene has the most value on the team. It's the only team so far where Duchene has the most value, so just a depressing time to be a Red Wings fan. And we're now moving on to my second favorite team, the Edmonton Oilers, offering Colorado Ethan Bear and Caleb Jones, 2 solid prospect defensemen. I don't get why Colorado doesn't want them. They're rebuilding, they need defense. They're both like solid young defensemen. I think their value in this game is probably lower than it should be. Slepishev's decent, they want him. Stuart Skinner's a solid prospect goalie they actually just got in the draft this year. And then a second in this year's draft. We can upgrade it to a first if this doesn't go through, but this probably should go through. Pretty nice package there for Duchene. Trade rejected. Wow, okay, so we'll upgrade that to a first. Edmonton's sort of going all in here. I mean, if they get Duchene in that offense, like, I think they'd be a lock for the Cup this year. And they're not giving away anything that actually affects the team. Like, Slepyshev kind of does, but Duchene replaces him, and it doesn't matter. So, yeah, they say yes. Like, that offense would just be crazy. Next up, we have Florida here offering McCoshen, McCann, and a first in 2019. McCoshen actually has the exact same amount of value as Matheson somehow, even though he's only a year younger, but 8 overall below. It doesn't really make sense. McCann, obviously, decent prospect and then a first-round pick. This trade actually might go through, which I think would be a huge trade for Florida. And it's accepted. I think that's actually a very, very good trade. Next up, guys, we have the LA Kings offering Colorado Martinez and a second in 2018, which I think is a fair offer, but I feel like it's not going to go through. It seems like you have to overpay to get it to go through. Yeah, so that's rejected. I'm sure, though, if we do the 2018 first, it has more value. They want it. That'll go through. That's a big overpayment, though, I think. Martinez and a 2018 first for Duchene. We'll see, though. If they say no, that'd be shocking. Yeah, okay, trade accepted, but like I said, I think a bit of an overpayment. Next, we have Minnesota here offering Dumba and Zucker for Matt Duchene. No picks, hopefully. Obviously, Suter's too much. Brodeen's somehow equal, even though he has medium elite. And then Spurgeon's a bit less, probably not enough. So I think it's honestly a pretty good trade. Like, Minnesota's offense would get even better, and they have the defensive depth to probably afford losing Dumba, even though they did lose Scandell in the summer. But we'll see if this trade goes through, and it's rejected. I'm actually pretty surprised. I thought that would have been enough. Look at Skater's matching block here and see if there's somebody not too great we can add. We could add Mike Riley. He's nothing crazy, and that gets to go through, so pretty good trade. And now in the game here, we're offering Colorado Juleson, Lehkonen, and a first for Matt Duchene. Again, a big overpayment, but because Duchene isn't on the block, which I wish you could make it so a player is on the block, but he's not, is a big overpayment, like I said, but probably will go through, and does go through. A big overpayment for Montreal, but they do get their first-line center with Drouin. I don't think Juleson was going to make the team anyway, so maybe it's not a terrible deal. Canadiens fans, let me know. Next, guys, we have Nashville offering Colorado Ekholm and a first. I think this is a very fair offer. It should go through. Trade rejected. Jeez, imagine Sakic turning down Ekholm and a first for Duchene. I mean, like, Ekholm obviously isn't like a top pairing D, but he's a solid top 4D. First-round pick. I mean, that's crazy. Maybe throw in Samuel Girard. I don't know. Emelin. We'll try Girard. He's a prospect. That should be enough. Still, they're standing pat there. Not enough for Matt Duchene. I think, like, having it on the hard trade difficulty plus him not being on the block makes it, like, super realistic. In real life, though, they were saying how Sakic had crazy asks for Duchene, so maybe this actually is realistic. So throwing on the 2019 second, we'll keep Girard. and that goes through. But I mean, I don't know. Would you do it as a Preds fan? The defense is still pretty solid. Duchene, obviously, a huge boost to the offense. Let me know. Next up, guys, we have the New Jersey Devils offering Mueller, Bastion, and a second. It's actually Florida's second in 2018 for Duchene. Obviously, I think Severson is actually underrated here. He's only got a bit more value than Mueller, so might as well use Mueller instead. I don't think they'd want to get rid of Severson. He's probably like their best young defenseman. Bastion's a bit worse than McLeod, who I think they would also want to keep. So we'll see if this is enough. I think it honestly might be. Values on our side, 3 nice pieces. Trade accepted. So that's actually a very good trade, I think, from New Jersey to add Matt Duchene. Next up, guys, we have New York Islanders, who also were talking to Colorado Matt Duchene. I think Colorado wanted Hamonic, but they ended up trading to Calgary for like a first and 2 seconds. So offer I'm making here, Polak, Beauvillier, first, Calgary's first, which probably will be lower than their first, and Prince. For some reason, Polak's value is really not that high. Like, I think it should be better than that. Same with Beauvillier. Dalcall there, they don't want for some reason. Hosting they do, then Barzal they don't. One thing too, I was looking at Barzal's value and just thinking, like, what's Griffin Reinhardt's value? It's got to be like next to nothing. That trade was so bad. But anyways, getting sidetracked. We'll see if Colorado says yes to this. I think it's a pretty solid offer. Trade rejected. Wow, like Colorado, it is just crazy. Kind of like what they do accept what they don't. Like I feel like the New Jersey offer was worse than this one. Maybe add Calgary second. So essentially they're flipping Hamonic. I think they still have an extra second. Polak, Beauvillier. Like that's a huge offer for Duchene. They finally say yes, but that's a lot to give up. Next here with the New York Rangers offering D'Angelo, who they just got back for the Stepan trade. But I mean, they're going to get Duchene, so kind of replace Stepan with an even younger, better player in my opinion. This Salin prospect D, couple second-round picks. D'Angelo's value is actually pretty decent. I think it's the same as Shea's, but I feel like New York would rather hold on to Shea than D'Angelo. So we'll see if they say yes. They want all 4 things. Values on our side. Probably not going to be enough, though. And it's not, so we'll see if we can add something else. Maybe just take out the 2 seconds. Give them like a 2019 first. It seems to be kind of like what we have to do every single time. Like, you know, Sakic is just determined to have that young D-man, a first, and then sometimes even a bit extra, which I guess is true to real life. And they do say yes to that, so it makes sense. Next, guys, we have Ottawa. I'm offering Cody Ceci straight up from Matt Duchene. They want Ceci. He's actually got a ton of value. For some reason, he has more value than Thomas Chabot, even though Chabot's, like, I think the better player for sure. Maybe not quite yet, but he's going to be. Honestly, I don't know if the trade's going to go through. If not, maybe we can just add a little bit. We'll see, though. And trade rejected. So Murray went through 1-for-1. Ceci wasn't quite enough. I feel like all these guys would be way too much to add. So maybe we add Ceci and, like, they don't have a second-round pick this year. Maybe a second in 2019. That's got to be enough. And it does go through. So honestly, I would do that. They call up Chabot to take Ceci's place. I would do that if I was Ottawa. Next, guys, we have the Flyers here. Pretty simple offer, honestly. Sanheim and a 2018 first. I feel like the Flyers actually have a lot of defensive depth as well, just like Carolina. Provorov, way too much, obviously. Ghost. Sanheim, there's actually a third most, but they got Myers there. They should have other players here, like Samuel Morin, Haig. So, Sanheim in a first. I mean, Duchene would make the Flyers offense pretty crazy. We'll see what they say. Trade accepted. So I'd probably do that if I was the Flyers. As long as that like 2018 first was lottery protected, I think it's a good deal. And now, guys, moving on to the Pittsburgh Penguins, offering Colorado Oli Mata, a 2019 first, and this Jerry prospect goaltender for Matt Duchene. They actually have a couple solid prospect goaltenders in Gustafsson and Jerry, so might as well use one of them. And then Mata there, obviously, is the young defenseman to build the trade around. Schultz is better, same with Letang. They probably want Sprong, but I don't really want to trade Sprong if I don't need to. And then, of course, the 2019 first, opposed to a 2018 first, just to make it more like real life. I think teams would be more willing to trade the 19 and the 18. We'll see what the Avs say. Trade rejected, of course, they reject it. We'll try adding a 2018 second here. I mean, Penguins are probably going to be battling for the Cup final again. And that's it done. So, I mean, I was, like, freaking out over Edmonton's team with Matt Duchene. But imagine Pittsburgh, Crosby, Malkin, Duchene down the middle. Like, that's unreal. Next year, guys, are the San Jose Sharks offering Jeremy Waugh, Timo Meier, and a 2019 first. So, pretty good package there from the Sharks. Obviously, no one won't be trading Burns or Vlasic. Waugh's actually got the same amount of value there as Braun. So, I figured the Sharks are going to win now. They're going to want to hold on to Braun. Meier's only 20 and 75, so I think in real life he's going to make the NHL team, but in this game makes sense, I guess, to trade him if he's only a 75. Then, of course, the 2019 first instead of the 2018. Matt Duchene going to the Sharks, so it'll be a huge boost to that offense. Help out with replacing Marleau. And they do say yes. So, honestly, I think that's not too bad a trade for the Sharks. Next up, guys, are the St. Louis Blues here offering Schmaltz, Barbashev, and a 2019 first for Matt Duchene. Obviously, Colorado really wants Parayko or even Pietrangelo, but Pietrangelo's not getting traded. Parayko obviously would not be getting traded either. So Schmaltz is next on the list. Barbashev, they just need a bit more value, and Fabry's same age and better, so definitely would not be trading Fabry. And then, of course, like I was saying earlier, the 2019 first is worth less than the 2018. This should go through, I think. And it does go through. Moving down Berglund, Sabatka, and Brodziak. That's just with the cap situation, but I'm sure they'd work it out. And here, guys, the offer making is Tampa Bay, offering them Schuster, Duchene, Ingram, and Tampa's 2019 first-round pick. I thought about maybe trying to make a trade around Talon Foote, but his value in this game is insane. Like, it's equal with Sergachev, even though Sergachev's a year older and 15 overall higher, but I don't know what it is. He's just got crazy value. So Schuster there would be the next best young defenseman. I guess he's young-ish at 26. Duchene's also younger. Then they're getting the first-round pick there. And the young prospect goalie in Ingram. Obviously, Vasilevsky's pretty young. Tampa Bay can afford to trade a young goalie. So we'll see what Colorado says to this offer. Trade rejected. Okay, I thought that might not be quite enough. There's not really a big piece like the rest of the trades. So maybe with that first, also give them a second. Still better than giving up Foote. And they say yes. So I think that's pretty good, honestly. Tampa's offense just got unreal. Next year, the Toronto Maple Leafs. I remember when I did the McDavid video, everyone was so mad. I think the Leafs had to give up like Matthews, Riley, and a first for McDavid. Hopefully, you're a bit happy with this. Liljegren, Kapanen, Kisu, I have no idea to say his name, I'm not going to lie. And a 2019 first for Matt Duchene. 2019 is the year they're winning the Cup anyway, so that's like a 31st pick. Kapanen and Liljegren honestly don't have as much value as they probably should. Liljegren here is a little bit below Zaitsev, and for some reason, Colorado doesn't want him. And then Kapanen there, like, doesn't have much value at all, equal with Komarov. Zaitsev I could have made the trade with, but it makes more sense for Colorado to want a younger player and for Leafs to hold on to Zaitsev. So we'll see if they say yes to this. They just want that prospect goalie, so he's an add-on. Pretty good trade. Trade rejected, okay. I thought that might go through, so probably do the thing we always do, add on the 2018 second, and San Jose's as well. I mean, Toronto's actually might be higher than San Jose's. I have San Jose missing the playoffs, Toronto making it, so Toronto's has more value, and San Jose's might be higher. Still rejected. Wow. Okay, so we'll take that goalie off. Doesn't really have much value at all. Skaters matching block here. Connor Carrick. They wouldn't trade, though. They wouldn't trade any of these defensemen. Let me see. I guess just a draft pick. So a first, 2 seconds, Liljegren, Kapanen. This is a huge overpayment, but it gets a job done. They actually say yes. And here's the offer from the Canucks, guys. Hutton Barchi and a 2019 first. Honestly, that's a pretty solid trade for the Canucks if it goes through. As you can see, Levy has a ton of value. Same with Peterson. Tanev actually doesn't have that much more value than Hutton, and I feel like his value is kind of low. Like, it should be higher. I think maybe it's because he's only an 84, and he should honestly be better than that. But anyways, Hutton Barchi and a first for Duchene. Pretty good deal for Vancouver. And they say yes. That actually, I would do that if I was Vancouver. Maybe. I don't know. Like, I feel like that's something Benny would probably do, though. I think his team's, destined for the playoffs. And next up, guys, we have the expansion team, the Vegas Golden Knights. Maybe they're feeling optimistic, think they can make the playoffs. Offering Colorado here Brandstrom, Merrill, and 2 second-round picks, both 2020. Their pick and the Penguins pick. They basically got the Penguins pick for free to get Fleury, who I think they've honestly probably wanted anyway. As you can see, Brandstrom's actually got quite a lot of value. First-round pick in this year's draft, 15th overall, after they took Glass and Suzuki. And they still have Haig, too, who's pretty solid. Defensive prospect. So we'll see what Colorado says here. Also added Merrill just to be like an NHL defenseman for them right now. Trade accepted. Honestly, that's not a terrible trade for Vegas, assuming Brandstrom doesn't become a beast. And next year, guys, we have the Capitals offer. Lucas Johansson, who's actually Ryan Johansson's younger brother. Pretty solid prospect defenseman, medium top 4. Brooks Orpik, who might be negative value as he's 80 overall, 36, making 5.5. But we actually have to include him so that the trade is under the cap. First in 2018, second in 2019. I'll show you guys some of the values too. Surprisingly, Johansson actually had more value than Bowie. I thought Bowie would have been the defenseman we made the trade around. Or obviously Carlson, probably a bit more valuable than Duchene just because he is a defenseman. Orlov, I wouldn't see them trading. We could have made the pick trade around that, but Johansson, not being an NHL defenseman, made more sense. As you can see, Bowie there, slightly less. So we'll see if Colorado says yes to this. Trade rejected. Okay, so we're going to have to add a little bit more. All right, guys, so here's the new offer. I decided to put Veranda in the deal, which is probably a huge overpayment. Took a second out, but still, they're young defensemen there. Orpik's the cap dump. They get Veranda, who's another solid prospect, and a first-round pick. They got to say yes to this. Still, they're saying no. Wow, I thought that was like a for sure trade going to go through, so I guess I'll add on the 2019 second now. I mean, if they don't say yes now. Okay. Wow. So I took out Orpik and Veranda. The trade is now Johansson still as like the core, 2 first-round picks, Eller and Wilson to get us up to the cap instead of Orpik. Maybe this will go through. That goes through, but geez, that was tough negotiations. And finally, guys, the offer from the Winnipeg Jets, Tyler Myers, Roslovic, and a 2019 first. I think Myers makes the most sense for the Winnipeg defenseman to trade. Obviously, Bufflin's the number 1. They're not trading him. Trouba has more value. Morrissey, slightly worse, but much younger, and he's left-handed, where Bufflin, Trouba, and Myers are all right-handed. Roslovic was just a decent prospect. Then, obviously, as I've said many times, the 2019 first makes more sense to trade than the 2018 first. We will see what Carlos says. Trade rejected. I'm not going to lie. I thought that was a pretty solid package I put together there. Let's try adding a 2018 second. And it gets it done. Moving down Kyle Connor, calling up Kulikov. But that would make Winnipeg's offense even scarier than it already is. So that's it, guys, for all of the NHL teams, what they would have to give up for Matt Duchene. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. In the comment section, let me know. Did you like the trade that your favorite team made, or did you not? Also, overall, what did you think of the trades? Also, I was thinking I might do this for John Tavares. If you guys would be interested in that, definitely let me know. And other than that, guys, if that's it for the video. If you did enjoy it, leave a thumbs up. Have a nice day. Goodbye.